Hello everyone, in this video we're going to discuss economic equivalence. At a given interest rate of I%, 20%, 30%, 8%, whatever, having a sum of money of P at time 0, which is right now, is equivalent to having a sum of money of F n periods from now, n years from now, n months. Let's just take years as the period. So as long as F is equal to P times 1 plus I to N. And we talked about this formula before. This is how you compute a future value based of a present sum of money at a I% interest rate and N years from now. So as long as F is calculated that way, F and P are equivalent sum of money, but they're at different times. So let's take another example. Let's say that you borrow $5,000 from a bank, and that's a loan from the bank to you. And bank gives you different options for repaying that loan. You know, one of the options would be, hey, you can keep the money, and then after 5 years, right? After 5 years, you can repay that to the bank. And interest rate of this loan is 8%. And then you ask the bank, okay, how much do I need to repay to the bank after 5 years? And then they calculate for you that, hey, future value of $5,000 today in 5 years is $7,347. So what they essentially are saying is that you are now at time 0 are receiving $5,000 from the bank. And this is equivalent to you paying us back in year 5, 7,347. These two cash flows, this cash flow and this cash flow, are equivalent. They're not equal. That's the term that we use for economic analysis, equivalent. Or they can, the bank can give you different options for repaying this loan. They can say that, this is also equivalent to paying so much each year, equal payments over 5 years. And this is typically what you see in many loans, that you have to pay that back, or you have the option of paying that back over equal amounts of money during the length of that loan. That's another option. In that case, you might, pay back a amount of money each year over the 5 years. In that case also, as long as these payments, these A payments, are calculated at a percentage at the 8% interest rate, this cash flow also equals to the $5,000 today. So let's look at more examples, and this time from the book. Here you see 4 different repayment of $5,000 in 5 years at 8%. In fact, the last one is the example that we just talked about. You borrow $5,000 and you don't pay anything, and at the end of 5 years, you have to pay $7,347. Well, there are, and the second repayment plan was the equal payments. So these are equal payments that you make over 5 years. Well, when you compare these different repayment plans, you see that in this plan, you're going to end up paying this much. Here, 7,000, here this much, and here this much. You end up paying different sum of money, but they're all equivalent because these payments are all calculated at 8%, And if 8% is representing your time value of money, you would be indifferent to take whichever of these repayment plans. Let's look at those four payments graphically. This is the last one where your balance goes up all the way to the 7,347. You could pay with equal payments where your balance keep going down, or you could just keep your balance at a certain level, or you could pay this way. Obviously, when you pay more at the beginning and then less at the end, you're going to end up paying less interest. That's why that 6,200 is less than 7,000 and even less than this. So when you pay more upfront, you're going to pay less interest. Equivalent cash flows, they have differences. They are equivalent at 8% or whatever percentage, but there are differences between them. One of them is the risk of non-payment, and the other is the total amount of interest to be paid or collected. And that's why in these four examples, the amount of interest that you're paying in these four repayment plans are different. So this is one of the differences between equivalent cash flows, but they are equivalent. And the risk of non-payment is one of the key factors in decision making. That was what we had for equivalence.